Video games that are super high intense action race car Mario things. So they're all animated out there, making all kinds of racket. How's everybody doing tonight? I was trying to get everybody's wish list on our practice questions tonight. I don't think I got everything. I know I got E&M, cardiology, lab and path, and diagnoses. But we will try to do everything that was asked for sure. We were working on urology today, working on our Excel sheet too that has our one word Jen's Magic stuff going on here that you write underneath your code. So I'm working on that too as I'm doing urology. And we'll get the other sections added too. And was working on the website today. I've got to buy this program. Where's it at? See if y'all have heard of it. I think is what I'm going to do. It's so that you guys can take practice exams on my website without having to, get PDF documents off of Etsy. Class Marker is the name of the site. So it's not too bad. I can get 5,000 close to test graded per year for that a month, or 12,000 test graded per month at that. So it's not too bad. And then I've got a practice exam loaded in on my website. Hold on. Let me show you real quick. What about Jen? See if we can see it. Y'all probably can't see it. I probably have to log on to Wix. Yeah, hold on. Log on to the website. All right. And then we'll go into the site. Oh my Lord, my kids are making all kinds of noise. I got all these new layers and things that I'm trying to build for you guys, but if we go over here to the page site, and I go here, and I go to free quizzes, okay, it's going to look like this, and you'll just type your name, I think, or whatever right there. Let me see if I can I preview it? Let's see. Yeah, there we go. We'll preview. So put Jen right there, and then hit start. And yeah, whatever. It's multiple choice. Your question will be right there, and then you can answer it, and then hit next, and it'll automatically tell you what your grade was for that one question, and then give you, if I got it wrong, it would give you a rationale. If you got it right, I just leave it alone. If y'all want rationale with even if you got it right, let me know before I start creating all this stuff. So let's just pick B for this one because I know it's wrong. There we go. And then there's your feedback. So it'll give you rationale with every single question. Plus, the next time you take it, the questions will be all mixed up. It'll be randomized. So that's what I'm working on the website, along with other things. Let's see, go back to editor, and then these pages I'm making over here. Just the resources, that's just going to be a resource page just for, it's going to have like the Facebook, the TikTok, and the YouTube. It's going to have a Discord widget in it so that y'all can be on Discord in the site too, so you don't have to go to another place for it. The free quiz, it's going to have the CPT book, free articles, and stuff like that. So it's going to be cool whenever I get it all built. I think We'll see. I got all the pictures and stuff, but my Discord is rocking and rolling. This is our Discord. Our main chat room is right here where we all get to chat, but then I have like exam day prep, just a room for that you can chat in, and I have a bunch of like even the proctor's instructions for what they read to you that day and what they're told to do is on there, what to expect. If you can use your prior year books, I even have the notification that yes, you can for the entire year from AAPC listed there. What equipment is needed for taking it online, just all kinds of stuff that y'all know I've been telling y'all to do. They even have a grant program, so if you need help paying for a repeat exam, or if you need help with books, they do have a grant, and they go through and they award them monthly, so reapply over and over again. And I think that information is on their website, but I'll try to get something that you can click on this picture and then you can go to the grant. Anyway, stuff to what to expect that day, what's on your exam, how many questions. If you did tutoring with me, this is what it looks like. And how to get an ADA, an extra hour to take your exam. All that's just under this one tab. But then on Discord, you can even go into practicing your practice exam questions for CPC there. I even have separated out ones for CRC, CCS, COC, and I just added the auditor one last night and started adding in some questions there with the rationale too. So everything's trying to get everything over there. CPT resources, if you want to know what to do with your book. There's all the cancer stuff you should have listed on chapter 2 page, so you have all 5 of those listed that are your main key cancer issues that you might run into. That's a really good place to put it, is to find it there. I got everything there. What to do, how to update your anatomy, mark your do nots, fix your out of sequences, all that good stuff there. Same thing with ICD10. I've got all your resources for fixing that book up ready for your exam too. And if you have books for sale, which some people do, I even have the thing that says you can keep your prior years, but some people have the prior years already marked, but then they got the 22 in and didn't realize they could have kept these, so they have their old ones already marked. You can come in here, and I've got people that are trying to get rid of those. I even have a section for anatomy. It's nothing but all your anatomy stuff and where to put it in your book. That one page right here, one of those pages, had 3 exam questions all on that one page for the GI system. This one right here, I think. Yep, had 3 questions on it. One of the things. I've got one for med terms. What does some of these med terms mean? Interspace is a disc, segment is a spine, those kind of things for you. Just lots of info, how to write it up in your book. This Discord is going to rock the socks off of my Facebook chat room that we had. It would only hold 250 people, so I hit that limit last week, and I can't add any more people to it, so I'm just slowly going through there and removing 10% of members every day, reminding them to move over to Discord. I've already got 204 people over, so I'm only missing about 40 people out of our 250, so that's a really good turnover to get people to transition from one site to another. But that one, even if I paid, I tried to even contact somebody at Facebook. I'll pay you just to open up the site and let me put more people in there. And they wouldn't let me. So Discord is where we're going to have to be now. And it's got more options anyway. So we might as well utilize it to our best abilities. Instead of Facebook wouldn't let you see the pictures or the files unless you had already been a member when those files were already shared. So this way, day one when you are in there, you get to see all the files. I know I have a lot of messages from earlier today. I was just running around doing one thing after another, and I haven't gotten to everybody yet. I hit Messenger and got stopped by a lot of questions and issues. So I've still got to go to Discord and add some friends and get people added there, but I will. It's just been a good day, but a long day so far. Bring up my document for today with all of our practice questions. Let me see what's going on in chat. I made some moderators today too, so people that can help out with questions. Hey Kristen, glad to see you. Hope I can help you. Appreciate the new follow. Yes, Miss Auntie CC is one of the moderators. Rationale on wrong ones only. What's that mean? You need help with your exam, Lily. You came to the right place because the exam is my specialty. I'm a medical auditor by trade, so I've audited the exam and I found some similarities and ways to go about taking the exam from the CPT or the answers point of view instead of the questions point of view. Helps alleviate a lot of propaganda and things that are put into those questions that are there to confuse you. And I help you with the process of elimination with looking and learning to look for coding irregularities, which will get rid of possible answers. So your breakdown is down to either just the answer or you've got a 50-50 shot with the question. Then you go to your book, look up your codes, differences, find your one-word differences, and then that's the first time you'll look at the question and see what the answer is. So hopefully I can help you out, pass that exam. You're late, you're never late, MK. I was late. Hi, Dee. How's it going? You have to learn to take notes neatly. Well, as long as you can read it, it don't matter. As long as you can read it and understand what you wrote, that's all that matters. I would love to buy them. Just need to find your Discord. So if you're on my TikTok, which you're here with me, I have first download Discord, install the app, get your account set up if you haven't already. After you've done that, then go to my TikTok, and one of my latest TikToks has Dolly Parton right there in the blonde. She's waving, and it says free practice questions, free, link in bio. Click on that one. My free Discord. And then right there in the comments, I have my Discord number listed for you to add me, which is 6243, or the Discord link is right there. That's all you got to do. Yep. Link to Etsy is there if you want a copy of my notes page by page to help you. Plus I have some practice exam quizzes up there. I have 130 question, just anatomy quiz. Lots of stuff if you want to keep your 2021 book, but turn it into a 2022 book. I have a document there for that, for both CPT and ICD10. Let me check on my kids real quick. They got quiet. There's Grandma. Don't eat and she goes on my couch. Pour a bowl. Pour a bowl like you're supposed to. How's Grandma feeling? Oh, Lord. Cereal explosion in the living room. Sorry, guys. I had to go. I mopped that kitchen before noon today, and y'all have already trashed it with cereal. It's already Cookie Crisp time. Have you got those kids that'll eat a full dinner, and then they have to eat a full bowl of cereal when they get up in the morning, and then again before they go to bed? Teenage boys are hungry devils. Hungry, 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 hungry. All right. And then tutoring. If you want tutoring with me, that's at my website, Medical Coding by Jen. You can schedule tutoring with me. If you just want to see if you're ready for the exam, we can do a practice exam together. I'll see how well you do and then give you some tips and tricks along the way and let you know if you're prepared for the exam. So that's always a fun and cool thing to do. I know. I'm sorry about Facebook Messenger. Nothing I can do about that. That got too popular, or I'd have to make multiple chat rooms for every 250 people, and I can't keep up with what I got now, much less multiple chat rooms, so I need to do one or the other. And Discord really is, and I looked at it the first day and was like, no, 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 but then I realized I could add separate rooms, and it just seems like it's going to be more organized for everybody. And then because I am helping CCS people and risk people and other genres, other certifications, they're going to have their own little rooms for all that information. It's going to be helpful for everybody. I'm sorry. Yay. Good job, Lily. Sometimes I have to uninstall the Discord app and reinstall it. Some people have had to do that. Oh, I'm happy to. Thank you, all right, Brooke. That's awesome. It's good seeing you here. Stress lifted since finding her account. That's one of my best compliments was a lady who took her exam for the second time, and I didn't hear much from her until the day she walked out of her second exam. She watched my videos and watched the lives, and I don't even think she participated in the lives, but she observed. She watched the YouTubes, and she wrote me a message the day she left that second exam, and she says, my first exam attempt, I walked out of there the last one to leave, and she was in tears, just sobbed in her car. We've all been in that situation one way or another, just got into our car and sobbed for some reason, whatever the reason might be. But the second time she went to take it, she left early, 30 minutes early before anybody else, and just was so happy because everything that I'd said was on the exam was just like in order, and I gave her the techniques to handle the questions, and she just walked out of there happy and had a really good testing experience. And I think just, even if she didn't pass, she did, but just knowing that I kept her from sobbing in the car after a situation is just like the best compliment ever, man. That is really great. Thank you, Auntie. Hey, Mean, how's it going? Oh, good. The link worked. Good. Cereal explosion. Just Cookie Crisp all over the floor. 13 years old. You can't pour the cereal into a bowl without it going everywhere yet. It's 13. You've been doing it for a little while. My kids. Now you're thinking about cereal. Cookie Crisp cereal. Okay, so I've wanted to show off because some people are still new and didn't know how to work up their books. So for CPT book, I just went on today after I got off my first live this morning and was showing people how to fix the urology section. So if you're in a crowd or with your family and you don't have a lot of time to like sit and concentrate, but you want to stay productive, the first thing you can do is to go through your book and just start underlining anything in red that says do not. It'll be right after the code. It's in what you call a parenthetical. My do nots get double stars, the beginning at the end of the statement, and then the do not gets underlined. Just do that throughout the entire book. That's a good start. Then anything that tells me to use a code with another code or find another one of my blues. See this report this one with that one or use this code with that one. They get blue stars. All the ones with the plus symbols in front of them, I put times by them so that I remember that this is a times one. It can be the one that goes times 2, times 3, times 4. Normally doesn't get a modifier with it, but I update those. Anything in those parentheticals that say use a modifier, those also get blue stars. But the first and most important thing is to mark all your do nots in red. Super easy. The yellow, what I'm highlighting here is what's in the brackets. There's these 2 C's that are in the code descriptor. And this is just letting me know this includes radiology or cryotherapy right here. This one's cryotherapy. It also gives me AKA terms sometimes. If this whatever scopy is also called something else, or what it's working on is this sphincter, but it's also called a sphincterectomy, like removing it, they'll put it in the brackets. And AAPC, I've noticed this year, is using more and more of what's in the bracket to make a difference in the question, for sure. So anything in the bracket that is in a CPT code descriptor, just the 2 C things, I highlight. So I can go through the book, even with my kids jumping around in front of me, and I can highlight those. They'll also have in the brackets proper names for certain procedures or a diagnosis. If this is a gland that is usually infected, well, the proper name of that gland is this, even though it's one of those glands, but then they've also given it a name, a proper name. This gland was on my CPC exam for sure. So those are the things that I like to highlight in here so that I know they're going to end up using it in the exam question. This just means it could be skin or it could be synthetic. Just little tips to help you out picking out the right code. So this one says Richardson type procedure. Very important to highlight anything in those brackets. Not every code will have something at all. And you might go pages without anything, but then you might have pages with a lot of stuff. So that's the first things to go through and do. It's not what's after the semicolon. It's not other things that other people say on the internet. I have my own way of doing it, which is a little different. So this is what I've been finding in those practice questions and in the questions that I find that people are saying that question was on my exam. I'm finding that they're using what's in those brackets for sure. So that'll get you started. And then the last thing that I do is, this is going to look crazy, but you just need one word underneath the CPT code to tell you what the descriptor is saying. Now what I'm doing here is notes for you guys, and you don't have to do all that. But this is just telling you what the procedure's doing in layman's terms, just because I'm trying to teach you. But all you need to know is that this was a release. This is to free something. This is to refix something. This is to take the bad out. This is to connect the upper pole. This is to remove and then rejoin. This is to excise and then rejoin at the renal end. This is a single ureter. There's just one word usually. I know I'm overdoing it with 2 words, but a lot of times there's just one word that will make a difference between these codes, like partial, extensive, with ureter. This is a donor instead of it being their own body. It's theirs. We've got a cyst, a mass. It usually is one word, but I tend to overdo, so that's what you need to do, especially on the ones that are the same thing. Like on this place, we're going to have placement, and then over here we've got placement too. And I know the shadow, the light is killing it, but placement, of neph. Well, our difference is this is nephrostomy. This is neph, O-U-R. Different spelling of the neph procedure that's going on here. They're both catheters and they're both percutaneous. They're both including radiology and diagnostic and the supervision and the interpretation. So the one difference is that this is going into the ureters and this one is going into the renal pelvis. That's what that difference in that neph word is. That's what they're going to pick if they're going to pick something. It's going to be some sort of CPT codes that start out with the same descriptors, and there's only one small little variation between the 2 descriptions on the codes, and they want to know about the differences if you know the differences. So doing that prep work, and I know it's a lot with every single code in this book, is a lot, but if you want to pass the exam, it's the best way to do it. You can evaluate the codes during your exam. You have almost 3 minutes per question, and you don't have to do it this way. You can evaluate it during your exam and know that this is just exploring and this is going to be a drainage. If they pick these 2 codes, you can do it. People have been doing it for years, but if you have spare time, it's one of my recommendations. The other thing is these pictures. You just go through urinary system into Google search or Safari, whatever you got, but put function and then do an image search, and it'll bring up all the urinary systems and what their function is so that you can add it in. I haven't done this one yet, but let me show you about the eyeball. So eyeball, I did eye anatomy function, switched my search to images, then it brought me up all my body parts and what they do. Like the iris regulates light entrance, and then I just add that stuff here. I call this coloring. When I'm tired of looking at codes and writing the differences, I do my coloring. And so having that here is super helpful. I also look up in Google search all my prefixes and suffixes for the eye and then write those down so that if I get hit with an anatomy problem I don't understand or a question or anatomy word, then I might have the prefix or suffix I can work out right there. So where is my female? Yeah, my female one. I learned one this year. I liked it. We got these little brushes that sweep, and I thought those were cool because they sweep the ovum into the fallopian tubes after ovulation. So it's this whatever this infundum whatever fimbriae is, but these are our sweepers. They sweep after ovulation and get our ovum through the fallopian tubes. So that's pretty cool. And I did OB and delivery for years, but I didn't know that fancy word for sure. We all know who fallopian tubes are and ovums and ovaries, but I didn't know about the name of the sweepers. So that was cool. But that's the basics. You're going to have at least 75 questions that are all going to be CPT related. If you want a copy of my notes, there's a link in bio for Etsy where you can just print them all out with all my crap in it. More than enough information for you. But let's get to some practice exam questions. And I got to lower my tablet down here for just a second. Ooh, there we go. Yep. We'll turn that off, turn that back on if we can. I don't need that light. There we go. And let me turn this laptop back on. I got this new cranny thing that holds the laptop up above the desk so I can have the books down here and the laptop not be up in the way. The laptop's like hovering over the top. So I'm just going to lower it so that y'all can see the questions. I still haven't figured out. I was on the phone with the website developer today and was trying to show him how I can't display my questions and the book at the same time, but I have two cameras that I can use, but Discord keeps inverting this so that it's a mirrored image. So he wanted me to mirror my image before I logged on to Discord to see if it would mirror the mirror image to see if it would go on Discord. Anyway, we were working on it and then he lost internet. Everybody's having issues always. Let me check messages real quick and see how y'all are doing. Cereal. Oh, it's the first time catching the live. Hey. I do my lives, I promise to do them Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 6:30 to 8:30 Arizona time zone. We don't go forward. We don't go back. I repost what is recorded by TikTok the next morning on my YouTube, which is Medical Coding by Jen, also, so you can catch those. Now, I've been recording my book prep as I'm doing it the last 2 weeks, I guess, every like 2 hours at a time, and then reposting those on TikTok too. So there's some that are book prep, and then there's some that are questions. I promise to do practice questions Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays for 2 hours each night. But the rest of the time I can be on anytime. I was on for a couple hours today, I think from 2 to 4, just doing book prep with everybody and answering questions. So randomly, but also promise to do questions like this at least twice a week. 3 times a week, 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yep. Fridays, I'll be adding in some risk questions and answers, some auditor questions and answers, because I have several people trying to pass. There's like 24 at one hospital that are trying to pass their auditor exam. They already helped them pass their CPC, so the whole department needs to be taking risk, which I keep telling y'all to get both certificates. And so I need to do some practice exam questions for them on Friday nights too. So we'll be working on that. Now, this question is so cool. I love it when there's lots of codes and when there's lots of words to go along with it, because the bigger the question, the easier they are to do, for sure. For me, anyway. Thank you, Marissa. You are awesome. Yes, headache, CC, is so much better. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was bad. That was really, really bad. I was telling them earlier today that my headache got so bad that night that I lost the sense of smell. Not like COVID, but like your migraine can take away the sense of smell. It was crazy. My oldest son made some popcorn on the stove, not in the microwave, but on the stove. He really cooked it for real. And my other kid brought me some in and was like, "You want some popcorn?" And I didn't even smell it in the house. You know how when you don't cook it, you really smell popcorn. Popcorn's like one of the strongest things. And I was like, oh, I didn't even smell that. I didn't even smell him cooking it. So that was the roughest headache I've had in a while. I normally don't get headaches. That was crazy. I'm not a headache person, but ooh, that was rough. But sense of smell is all back, and I was happy, happy, joy, joy today. I rested yesterday too, and mopped and cleaned house and was productive, had meetings, and got things done today. So I'm really feeling quite well today. Thank you for asking. You just registered for Discord. Great, Alyssa. I can't wait to see you. Everybody's piling in on this question. So this question has lots of E&M codes. And the first thing that strikes me weird, of course, is the 13, our regular E&M visit with a bunch of like, I don't know what this is, hospital crap. What is this? Plus there's a ×2. I just don't like A. I wouldn't do an E&M with any other E&M, like the beginning, the 99202s to the 99215s. They just wouldn't happen without an E&M code. Now, not a modifier, I mean. But a lot of times, these are just practice questions, and they don't really go by like real life coding anyway. So it's not like everything's 100% like you would do it in life anyway. But it's very different from all the other ones. None of the other ones have a regular thing. So I would definitely get rid of A for me. And then the other thing is we've got 4 codes in 2 and then 5 codes in this. What I'm going to do is go straight down to my question and see what are they asking me to do before I start looking up a bunch of codes and trying to figure out a bunch of stuff when I don't even know what they're asking me. So the last sentence is what I always like to look at. And so they are asking me for 5 days worth of codes. So how many codes would I have? 4 or 5 days. Yep. We only have one answer left that has 5 days in it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 4 days aren't going to help us any at all. So even without looking at much of the question at all, just the last sentence, and knowing a little bit about our E&M guideline, that 213 is part of a class of codes that just wouldn't go with any other E&M class of codes without a modifier, and definitely the fact that we wouldn't do a ×2 on a hospital stay. It just is not going to happen. You got to do each day, right? So just knowing that gets rid of A, and we know our answer's B without stressing, because they put a lot of information in here about high complexity on your first day, and then you've got 2 days and 3 of expanded, and then they've got a moderate, they're just filling this up full of stuff for you to have to waste your time looking to see what the MDM is on all those codes to verify that they are correct. When that is just to slow you down so you don't have enough time to finish your exam. When in reality, if you slow down just a tad and look for coding irregularities, then look for what is the question asking, and then counted you'd know what your answer is within 20 seconds, right, from looking at the question, instead of going from code to verify. Some are high complexity, some are expanded, some are moderate, and then your last day is problem focused. That would drive you insane to have to go look up all those codes to verify that they're all in the right order and all that stuff. It's just not needed. So I hope that's helpful. I love that code. Love that question. Okay. Here's another one. So we've got all these codes right in an order, like 8.5, 8.6, 8.7, and 8.8. So you just have to start with your first one in sequence, which is 99485, and go see what that code is about. And then see what 8.6 is about. And we see that our 8.5 is two-way radio, right? So let's go see. 4.8.6. 4.8.6. They got all these codes all mixed up. So much fun to try to find them all. Eight six is an add-on code, so it could not be coded by itself, right? So we can automatically tell that this would not be a code because it's got a plus symbol in front of it, right? For each additional 30 minutes. And then the 8.5 is for two-way. Oh, my pages are sticking together. Why are they sticking together? Eight seven and 8.8 are way far away, but 8.7 is under complex chronic care management. We can go looking in our practice question to see what's going on with this patient. And we're going to go from the bottom up, and I see the word transport and two-way. So I know my answer. It just has to be that two-way. We're not doing critical care management. He's just doing a two-way walkie-talkie while they're transporting a critical care patient. Yep. Super cool. Any questions on that one? We got new codes right after that code, the 87, and it's no longer 88, it's 89. It should be. But then you're going to have two new codes after that for principal care management services, which are your new E&Ms for 2022. And we've got two new codes with two parent codes and new guidelines that go with those. But I haven't heard about those being on the CPC exam yet. Only the new COVID test. If you have a positive COVID patient in your office and you diagnosed them that day, that's the one that's in there. Where did I find 8.6? Well, I'm in the 2022 book. Are you in that book? So 8.7 is on 66, and then 8.6 is on 58 in the 2022 book. It's right before your inpatient neonatal critical care patients. And it's right after your inpatient neonatal intensive care patients. It's after the birthing room attendance services. It's where it's in between all that writing. Remember when I told you to look up these pages? Is that 56 or 57 where we have all those lists of codes you can add? Well, that 56 is and 55 are right there before them. I just haven't updated this section yet or drawn anything in them yet. I typed out this section for you guys for notes instead of writing in the book. Thinking I could do that for the entire book, but absolutely cannot. It's just too much. Yep. Come on, camera. Focus, focus, focus. Focus, focus, focus. All right. So we have a bunch of consultation codes, right? And this 32 is mandated services. So I'm curious. I'm going to go check out my question to see why they're doing mandated services. And I see second opinion. And I see that the insurance company is requiring a second opinion. What have I told y'all about consultations? Yep, being anything other than doctor to doctor. It doesn't matter if the insurance company's demanding it, right? They're only going to get the new patient code. So, because we saw an unusual modifier, I went and checked my question to see what they were asking before I went and did the process of elimination and got all up into these consultation codes and looked up those differences because I knew we had this one new patient code that it could very well be if it was not going to be a consultation. And we could pick that answer and move on straight to our next question. So anytime it says, I've even seen questions written where it says, the primary care physician is going to send the patient for a second opinion for a cardiology issue like a heart murmur or something. And it says that that doctor is actually going to send them for a second opinion, which you think is great, and you're going to give them a consult code. But the last three words were due to insurance company's requirements. Because of that one little sentence, or the last three words buried in the sentence, that changes it to where it's always going to be a new patient code. It will always have a 0 in it. So if there's only one option for a new patient, then there's your new patient. You pick that code and go on to your next question. They're always either burying the key detail hidden in a bunch of words, or they're not saying enough so that it's very difficult to make a distinction. So when that happens, pick low, meaning if there's a difference between picking a code 04 and 03, pick the 03. And then the other thing that they love to do is to repetitively say one word over and over and over again. Like if there's a difference between a placement of a catheter and a replacement of a catheter, they're going to say placement, placement, placement like 5 times. And they're not going to say change, they're going to say exchange, maybe once or twice in the middle of that question. All those 5 placements are going to make you think that the question is saying you're just placing a catheter in. but it was actually an exchange or a change of a catheter, and that will be the difference in your code. So if you see something just shouting out you multiple times, then there might be a reason in that question that they're trying to hide. But I teach you that as long as we go. Yeah. There you go. My crane gets to where it's tired at the end of the day and just falls down on my laptop. I've tried to get a new one, but the new one I don't like either. It's like, ugh. See, I got this one that I'm always creaking and aching, but then I got this fancy, crazy thing that holds a laptop with another crane to hold the phone. But look at the phone. The phone's all wobbly, wobbly. Like, why? Okay, I can't have wobbly, but then I can't have this thing falling all over the place. It's like, can't y'all just make one? I know I'm not the only broadcaster and teacher, around. There has to be reliable, good stuff. Y'all can't be giving out all this foolishness all the time. But anyway, just the joys. Anybody heard from Beth? See how her exam went? We ought to be close to her getting her results. Mandated services means exactly that. The insurance company requires a second opinion. The doctor's hands are tied, the patient's hands are tied. If the patient wants to seek treatment for whatever they've got, they have to see multiple physicians for that issue before the insurance company will pay for whatever they need done. Simply just means. Yeah, me too. I'm wondering. Hey, Shell, how's it going? Yeah, she was clinical, and every question I asked her in tutoring, it was like one every 20 questions I could maybe trick her on. It was hard finding a question she didn't know the answer to within 10 seconds. But I know doing it with me is scary, but not as scary as doing it with on the exam and on the exam day. So that puts a whole nother level. Plus she had to drive in a snowstorm to a big city, hotel it up, and get there. It's a lot of stress. But man, she tutored with me a bunch, and I really, literally could not find hardly any questions she didn't know the answer to. And the few that I did find, like that multi-lab one, happened to be on her exam, and she knew the answer by the time she got to the quiz because we had went over it. So, man, I hope she passed. I hope she did. I hope she did. Okay, another diagnosis one. Because I was asked for diagnoses today. So for process of elimination, which two are we keeping today? Which two are we keeping? Texas is bad weather. Oh. Yes, very good, Shell. If the answer's the same on two answers, the first code is the same, then there's a reason they want to quiz you on something about that CPT code. So what they want to know is, do you know that what the Z51 means, of course, and can you do the cancer code after it, or do you do another Z code after it? Z51 is our one code I want y'all to recognize, of course, during your exam, and know that that is for B does have one of our eliminated ones in it. Absolutely, it does. Yep, Z51 means they're usually getting radiation, chemotherapy, immunotherapy, something like that's going on. So, what's going on with this patient today? Yep. I put the wrong one down there. Yep. They're wanting you to know that you never, ever, ever, and you always have to do your chemotherapy and then the reason why. If we go to our guideline, oh, in my 2021 book, and we go to G10 at the very bottom. Woo! I'm knocking around stuff. G10, right here at the bottom, our guideline says that if they're here for the sole treatment of chemotherapy or radiation, whatever, that you're going to do the Z51 code and then the diagnosis for the problem, which they were receiving services, is the secondary diagnosis, meaning their cancer is going to be next. The malignancy is the second one. So that's the guideline they're wanting to know if you know. Even though it's a diagnosis code, that could be a way that they're testing to see if you know your guidelines. So here is another one. What do you think about these? You see any that we can get rid of? Or would you just start at the top and work your way down? I think D's pretty far away. And probably B. I'd keep the 36 and the 42. Where are those? 99, 36, 992. Yeah, it is a 2 though, isn't it, instead of a 3? Maybe I'd just keep the 3s. The 325 and then the 342, actually. I'm looking at the numbers. 93. Nine, 3, 2, 5. We're under rest home custodial care services for this 325. And then the 342 is under home health services. I do auditing for home health services, and actually what I do is another company, the governing agency for home health agencies, come into home health agencies and they audit their nurses that go into the homes, and then they audit their office to see if they're following policies and procedures. And when a company fails their audit, I'll come in and show them what they got to do to fix it, and then so that they can pass their audit. I like doing that for home health agencies. It's fun. But oh my gosh, them nurses don't like to be told what they can and cannot have in their cars. Because if they're going to be traveling to patients' homes, they can't have certain things in their car because they're carrying medical supplies and stuff. So I get to go in and tell them how to clean that car out. So we've got a custodial care center, right? We see that right off the bat. And we have a problem-focused history and examination with an expanded problem-focused. Yep, 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 yep. I like B2, guys. It's the first time I've had one of those custodial questions in a live, so that's a cool one to add to the bottom of that page. I'm on, where's the 2.5? If you're in the 2022 book, I'm on the page 37. That's a cool example right there to add. More E&M. Fancy ones. What do you think here? Thank you, Tricia. That's awesome. Custodial care means they're in a nursing home. Nobody calls it a domicile or custodial care services, but they're y'all are keeping B's and D's? What have I taught y'all about when you see one little old CPT code buried in with a bunch of E&Ms? What does AAPC do sometimes? Because it's here and it's here. What are you supposed to do? Let's go look at our question first, see what they're asking us before we read a bunch of stuff and plan to do an E&M visit when all they might be asking us is, how would you report this procedure? And they're not even putting an S at the end. They don't want us to do the E&M visit. They want to know how would we code whatever's going on in here. And we don't have to read it because we know what the answer is because of the way they worded the question, right? That's it. We're not doing any office visit with this. All the rest of this is just propaganda to confuse you. All they wanted to know was how do we code the procedure. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Don't be reading the questions. You go straight to the answers. Look at them. Remember in your head what I told you about looking for coding irregularities, process of elimination. You're going to do all that first. Then go look at the question. What exactly are they asking? Because a lot of people will read all this stuff, but then they skip the last sentence because they assume that they have to do an E&M, or they assume whatever they're asking is something else. No one really reads the last sentence, and it's pretty telling sometimes what they're doing. So this is actually one of their questions. So save yourself a lot of grief. Don't read the questions and start with the codes first, and then go to the last sentence before anything else. Yep, 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 yep. I hope you're okay, MK. But promise, C's the answer. All they wanted was that procedure. So what do we know about diagnosis codes? We know the T codes are usually an injury or something that happened to a patient, right? It's usually an external cause. They were poisoned. They got shot. Something. They fell and broke a leg. Something. They were burned. These are all in that section. K's, what we know about K section, I think it's like stomach, right? Something is wrong with their stomach. I don't know. I know the C codes are cancer. I know the R codes are symptoms, right? K codes might be digestive. Yeah. Yeah, and the T codes could be adverse effect. So knowing that, I can go look at my question, see what's going on with the patient, and decide which two I can get rid of pretty quickly. Because it's either going to be a current injury, something happened to them that hurt their stomach, or they're here for follow-up on all that. So I'm going to go to the bottom, see what's going on. We'll start at the bottom. So it says today to be evaluated for photodynamic therapy because she has GERD and Barrett's, right? So I know that whatever's going on, we don't need those T codes, right? We're going to do these two. All I got to go do now is look up my K22.2 and then my K2270, see what my differences are now. I've eliminated a lot of other codes to have to look up, and then I can pick out my answer. So K22, 2. H-I, and then J, and then K. Boy, it's way back here in this book. Ooh. One of the first things I'm having to look up today, because I could pick out the answer usually, a lot of times without anything. 222 is an obstruction. I don't think she's having no obstruction today, so I know she's going to be the 70. So I could look up the 70 and you can too. But if you're only looking up the differences between two codes and one of them is completely eliminated, I just drew all over that because I put the book on the top of it. But you don't need to go look up the other code to verify. I know if it's not 22, it's got to be the 70. And if you do look up the 70, you'll know that it is the Barrett's, right? But I wouldn't do it during the exam because once you've eliminated one of them, you know it's going to be the other one. Just pick it and go. Don't be looking up every code. You'll be there all day long and you won't finish your exam, and probably you'll sit there long enough to where you might read the question, which you'll start second guessing yourself, and then you'll change your answers and you won't pass. So avoid reading these questions as much as possible. Up at the top, up here, it is going to talk about her having an obstruction. She had an incident a week ago where she got something stuck in her throat. She couldn't breathe. She was taken to the emergency room. She had an emergency procedure done to get the piece of hamburger meat out. But we avoided all of that reading by not doing that and only going from the bottom up, seeing what she was diagnosed with today's visit, and then moving on to our answers. That's it. All this stuff is just propaganda to make you think that she needed to get treated for an injury, but that would have happened in the ER that night before. Ugh. Okay. Ooh, radiology. All right. So we've got 01, 02, 03, and 04. No way I can do process of elimination on these, so we got to run to those codes. So let's go 788. Where are we at? Those are category 2. 788. Seven, 8, 8, 01, 02, 03, and 04. What are our differences? We've got, two whole. So we have two that are whole bodies. One difference is one's a single day and one of them is 2 days. In that 2 and 4, you see how they start out with the same wording? That's exactly what they're going to do. If AAPC is going to pick out any one of these 4 codes, from the 01 to the 04, and these are out of order, they're definitely going to pick out the 2 that are the same. Plantar, whole, body, requiring, blah, blah, blah. They're the same thing. Where this one starts out as 2 or more, blah. This one's a spec 1. Yeah, they're going to pick out these 2 and try to confuse you and see if you know the differences between these. So what I would look up is only the difference that would make it the higher one, which is more days of being in the hospital or whatever. So, what? I treated somebody with non-Hodgkin's one time, or at least found out that he had that. I found 2 people that had that. I was telling people about a story about my satellite guy, and I found out he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, I didn't tell y'all the other story. I went to work for my works competition, doubled my income when ICD-10 when ICD-9 switched over to ICD-10, because I learned it ahead of time and went and asked their competition, do you want me to? And if you do, here's my income. And I just wrote a number that was double what I was getting paid. And they said, sure, we'll pay you that and we'll give you a bonus every year. And a sign-on bonus for now, but a bonus every year at Christmas time. But anyway, my first day on the job, they had hired one of the physician's family members who was a physician in her country, but she was having trouble getting her medical license on board in the United States. So she was a physician, but she worked in my area for auditing while she was waiting on paperwork to get through, and she kept talking about one of her sons was sick, losing weight, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what has your pediatrician done? What is your pediatrician? What's he doing? What's he doing? Did he do a chest x-ray? Did they do a CPC? No. Well, you're a doctor. Go make sure he does a chest x-ray and a CBC. Her 12-year-old had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, cancer. They had to go through chemotherapy and treatment, but he's all better now. But good gracious, I've diagnosed 2 of those in my lifetime when their primary care physicians didn't see it. They were losing weight, not hungry, and just coughing a bunch. It's crazy. Anyway, every time I think about that, I think about my 2 people. So here's our lovely question. And if we go from the bottom up and we're not reading, we're just skimming for words that go associated with the word day, like 2 days, 3 days. Yep, we get 3 days right there. So we know our answer is the one that was pushed up, which is the 04, because it's out of order. So we know C is our answer. Yep. Y'all like that one? I know if you get to looking at the reason why, that they are picking codes, you'll figure out that they really love the ones that start out with the same descriptors. Absolutely. They might pick 2 throwaways that are just similar, but they're throwaways. But these 2 are the ones that were the reason. And they put a lot of words and effort into these questions to confuse you, because you'll probably find a lot of stuff in here about their treatment and before starting the new treatment, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But that's all you needed to know was 3 days out of that question. And it's just buried in between all this other stuff. Yep. That's what they like to pick on for sure. So anything in this book that starts out with the same words like radio, pharmaceutical therapy, by, this one says intracavity. This one says interstitial. So your difference is CAVITARY. Then this one is STITIAL. That's your one-word differences between those 2 codes right there that you would write right there. This one's cavity, should go right there, and stitchel should go right there. That's your difference between those. This one's radio. And this is intra, INTRA. Just those one-word differences make a whole lot of difference for sure. All right. So what 2 are we keeping? You like this not reading the question strategy? I'm so glad you do. And it works too. Yep, very similar spellings, but like the allograph and the autograph, there's a lot of things that are A-U-T-O in musculoskeletal, and then there's an A-L-L-O, and they both end in graph, so they're graphies, but those 2 little letters in the middle make the biggest difference ever. Goodness gracious. All right, which 2 are we keeping? We're keeping B and D. You got it. We're getting rid of everything else around it. All we need to know is, can we use this code with it or that code with it? Right? Hey, Mom. How's it going? Where's Red today? Is she in here? I swear I'm trying to get there. My book is so slippery and new. Hate it. Looky. 4802. Biopsy the pancreas. 4 radiology supervision and interpretation. What are you supposed to use? The 42? Do we see an 002? We do. We see both. Both of them are there. Now what are you going to do? Going to go look at your headers, right? One of them's fluoroscope. The other one at 6942 is ultrasound, ultrasonic. So which one are we doing? So if you look at the differences, the 002, yep, 002, look at your header, which is under fluoroscope. Then you look at your 76942, look at your header, ultrasonic. That's all you need. You don't need nothing from the code, but you need the headers. So one's ultrasonic, one of them's fluoroscope. And then you can just search your word for the right one. One's fluoroscope, which is the 002, right? So our answer is B, all day long. We love our headers. Headers can be your best friend, especially in E&M, radiology, and urology, or endocrine around the prostate gland and stuff. Most definitely. This question's too difficult to hide, but I wanted to add that one in there if I can get it all into one looky. There we go. So if a patient has hypertensive heart disease with congestive heart failure, how do you code that? How many diagnoses do I have? Start out with that. That'll help you to keep from looking up all these codes. How many diagnosis codes do you have? Hypertensive heart disease with congestive heart failure. So you have 2. So eliminate any answers that don't have 2 diagnosis codes in them. And then this helps you to know what they're asking. You can tell that AAPC wants to know which one comes first, because it's the same codes, but they're just flip-flopped. And the reason for it is they want to know what you know. So think of it this way. The codes are, number 1, they're usually in order in the book through the disease process. You start out with hypertension when you're young. Eventually you get married and the wife makes you go to the doctor and you get put on high blood pressure pills, right? You might not take those very often because they mess with your erectile dysfunction. They give you sleep dreams. They make you dream more, so you don't like to take them, so you don't take them for a long time. Your hypertension, your high blood pressure is high for the next 20 years. Then you get in your 50s and 60s congestive heart failure, and that's how you die, but it's because you started out with hypertension. So you always start out with the disease that started first. It's kind of neat how the ICD-10 book is kind of in order from A all the way to Z. As far as diseases and processes go, they do have congestive heart failure coded after hypertension, so it is in order. Things don't always happen like that, but it is kind of nice that this is this way. Plus, AAPC doesn't mix up things too much. Like they wouldn't ask the question, I haven't seen it yet, where they've said patient has congestive heart failure with hypertensive heart disease. They've always asked them in order, so whatever they state in the question is first is usually what the answer is first. So if you look up those 2 codes, you know this is COPD and you know this one's hypertension. So just code them the way they are written in the question if you have no idea whatsoever. But hopefully you can think about the disease process, which one would come first in the normal progression of normal diseases, and maybe that'll help you too. But anyway, A is the answer. Y'all are correct. I'm glad I can help out. Glad I can help out. Hey, Tasha, you all right? Yep, that's perfect. Yep, we only had 2 listed in this question. So that was my first clue, is I just got rid of any answer that didn't have 2 answers in it. So that helped me out, get it to where it's just 50-50 shot. If nothing else, you've at least got that. I'm glad to help. Y'all can take this a step further, and go to your I-11 and write, if a patient, or not if, but put hypertensive heart disease with congestive heart failure, you can write that out beside I-11 and then add the 150 as the secondary code. That way you have an example when you go to the ICD-10 book and you look up these codes in the middle of your exam, you'll be able to reference it. Ooh. Where's my book? Where's my book? Where's my book? That's my new book. Where's my old book? Oh yeah, I threw it in front of me. So I've done that on all mine. My kids are so loud. Which book is this? This is 21. No, did I do it in my 21? Or 22? Ugh. 11. 11. Alright, here we go. Oh, look at all those little notes. So, heart disease with benign hypertension. What if they have malignant hypertension? Do you know what that is called? Hypertensive chronic kidney disease with, CKD. I put all my little references there right beside the codes in case I need to do it. Look at the bottom one, the very bottom one. That is end-stage renal disease on dialysis with diabetes and hypertension. How you code it in order is right there. So I put all my little examples, and I know some of y'all are in courses and things, is as you have questions and you find out what order AAPC wants them in their answers. This isn't real life coding, but the purpose is to figure out what answers they want in the order that they want. Write those orders down in your books and you'll have them as references too. Did they change the ICD-10 guides for 2022? They added 2 new parts. They added the multi-symptom COVID guidelines. So if you're a long hauler or you have that childhood disease where you have multi-system failure after COVID, they have 2 paragraphs there that they've added to the end of the COVID guideline. And I have that written up in a document on Etsy that's the ICD-10 21 versus 22. What the changes are. I tell you what the 2 guidelines are to add. That's one of them. And then the other one that they've added that changed was just simply the food insecurity and the homelessness. They have some social disturbances, things that they've added to the end that just document. And we're supposed to ask now, do we have food insecurities? I can't tell you. When we went to, I took Travis to that children's hospital in Phoenix a week or 2 ago. I can't tell you how many forms I had to fill out that said we don't have any food insecurity here. I got more food than I know what to do with. Because the refrigerator's too close. I work from home. I've gained not only COVID weight, but gained weight from just working from home the last 8 years. So, but they kept asking over and over again, and even individually asked Travis. So It's just one of those new guidelines that they want to know if people have food insecurities for some reason. So they're capturing that information. The rest of all the guidelines are the same. And even if you get my 2022 guidelines, it still works for the 2021 books. It's fine. It's just 2 new updates there. Not too bad. Don't forget to fix all your out-of-sequence codes, all these red ones throughout the entire book. I write down the page number and then what column they're in, 1 or 2, just for me, but at least, bare minimum, please go through the entire book and write down what page numbers these codes are, because there's nothing worse than getting to your exam and all the codes on your exam are not on the page where you expect them to be, and you're just searching from code to code because they're all numbers. My lab and path and medicine section were all out of sequence codes, and I couldn't find any of them because I didn't prep ahead of time. I didn't know to do that. But I still passed, but still, it was pretty traumatic because I couldn't find any codes, and that really defeats you because you didn't know. No one told you, and I paid for tons of information on the internet to help me pass, but no one said a word. And, you know, all that work you're doing, and nobody said a word about all this mess. Foolish. It's terrible. All right. Come on. There we go. There we go. There we go. More diagnoses. So what are we keeping? Hey, Jen. How's it going? Yep, lab and path is terrible. Yep. It also says use additional code. Yep. A and D, very good. Was I supposed to be doing something for Patricia Jen? Oh, Jen, I did tutoring with her this week. It was so much fun. Yep, we're going to keep these 2. These are some of her questions, too. She wanted some diagnosis ones this week, I think. Somebody did. Not sure. I get them all running in together. So they want to know if we know. Oh, I did my taxes yesterday. That was the wrong note. They want to know if we know to add that to that CPT code. I think that was Cynthia that wanted all the diagnosis codes, not Jen. But this code is associated with usually a drug or something happened to a patient, or you took too much of something. What's our guideline on poisoning? Do y'all have your guidelines written down on chapter 19 for poisonings? That's what I would do. I just did this with tutoring with somebody the other day. I went to chapter 19 because this is where poisoning happens. You see the word poisoning? No camera. Ooh. So this has poisoning beside it, and see the light is going to affect the camera. Poisoning on it. So I went to my guidelines. If you did it to yourself, you're going to start out with your T codes first, then your manifestations, meaning your nausea, vomiting, you got a rash, whatever symptoms you're having, and then if you're addicted to anything like alcohol poisoning. And then I also write my adverse effect. If a doctor prescribes it, then you get the reason why they're having their reaction, or what happened, what kind of reaction, like a rash, difficulty breathing, whatever, and then you do your T code next. Writing those two guidelines at the top of this instead of having it in the front of your book is super helpful because you're right here at poisoning. And this is page 991 if you're in the 2022 ICD-10 book. So writing those there is super handy dandy. Then you have it. Every time you see something with a T code, you'll know it's an external cause for something. Ooh, I just wrote all over this thing. And okay, you find our question again. Just a sec. I keep laying the books down on top of the tablet. There you go. So, knowing that guideline, knowing that if they are poisoned by something, that we're definitely going to need that T code second, is probably helpful information. But let's see what's going on with this patient. We're going backwards. What is going to be reported by the physician? He had a hematoma. Why did he have a hematoma? He's going back to the OR for a re-exploration. So he had an injury from the last time they worked on his back, right? And they did find a blood clot that they didn't remove during that last procedure that was causing him the pain this time. So, do you think we're going to need that or not? Yep. A actually says it's a post-procedural hematoma, right? I would have thought, just looking at this and thinking about my guidelines and thinking about if he's had an injury from something prior, that it would have been the D. But if you actually take the time to look up the code, this code says you got a hematoma due to a procedure. So it takes care of both at the same time. It's craziness. Sometimes they find the most insane little variations, because the guideline tells you one thing, but they don't tell you that there's going to be a code that might do both. They don't tell you that in your beginning guidelines, and they found one code that means both. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes. Magpie, is it time for your dinner? Okay. I got 15 more minutes before I'm 2 hours into this. I will restart the live and we'll do more book prep after 15 minutes. I'll go feed the cats, put the kids to bed, and then come back and do some more book prep. All right. What do we think about this thing? I was asked about cardiology, I think. So I was trying to find some cardiology or something that I hadn't done before in a live. Yep, MK 38. Well, this one's deep heart in the cardiology section. If we're in the 385s, we are working in something back here. Way at the very, very end. This one's an excision with a biopsy. It's superficial. This one's with the needle. And then the other one, the 25, is an open procedure where they did an incision. Sometimes you'll find excision or a scalpel mentioned, but this one's deep and it's axillary. Where 05 were cervical, and then 00 just says biopsy. So I do see a scalpel, right? But are they using it on the whatever they're getting rid of? I see needle too. So they're trying real hard to confuse us, right? I know. Can you believe it? I'm so glad you love the lives. You're very welcome. We see needle again. It does say it's localized. It doesn't say anything about being deep, right? So y'all are going C. C is your answer. You got it right. Very good. Very good. They ended up doing 4 biopsies. Craziness. Thank you, Marissa. All right, another diagnosis 1. Which 2 are we keeping here? Y'all are so sweet. We're going to rapid fire these so I can get through everything I wanted to show y'all tonight. So, yep, we're going to keep B and C. Now, how many diagnoses do I have? I either have 2 or I have 3. So let's look through our question just to see how many diagnoses we have. So we're going to raise this up. I'm going to look back, and the question goes 2 links. So right here we've got acute bronchitis and chronic at the same time. And then back here I saw history of smoking, right? So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. I would pick B. What do you think about that? Yep, smoking is our history of, without looking up any diagnosis codes at all, without doing anything. We know history of is going to be like a Z code, right? And then we know we can code our acute and chronic at the same time if they're both lined up in the yellow line that comes down on your diagnosis page correctly. We're going to assume they do because they're in both answers, right? Oh, that's so good to hear, Tasha. I'm so grateful. I one of my sons had such separation anxiety when he went to school that I ended up just homeschooling him from after kindergarten. It was just atrocious. He could do 7 a.m. to noon. Once he had lunch, he was done for the day. I want mommy. I want to go home. I'm done. He wouldn't do the last 2 hours of the day. And I kept getting called in and called in and called in. Every day I couldn't drive through the line like the other parents and just pick up my kid and go home. I had to come out, talk to her about his anxiety. It was an everyday struggle. So I just homeschooled him 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. And it kind of lingered on, and then COVID hit, and I didn't mean to keep it that long, but it ended up going till 7th grade. So I ended up having to teach him those years, and I think maybe it gave me an insight that somehow you got to break it down. Some people just like it broke way down, and that's what I do here. Sometimes I get repetitive, so if I'm talking too much, let me know. But I think teaching him helped me learn how to teach this stuff. I don't know. I don't know if that helped. I hope so. What are you doing, Magpie? So we know our B codes are HIV, right? We know we're there. So our question is, if they have a history of symptoms of HIV, what's our diagnosis code? Good. I will try. Make sure my phone is not going to die. Hold on, let me get my charger. Because I think does that say 4% battery? I hope not. Oh, Lord. Yeah, it said 4% battery. Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised it stayed connected. Okay. Yes, B. What if it says asymptomatic? It's one word, altogether, asymptomatic. What if they never had any symptoms of HIV, but they are HIV or AIDS positive because, I don't know, maybe they were pregnant and they had the OB panel and they found out they're positive for it, but they've never had one symptom. What would you use? Yep, that's perfect. Be sure you know those two distinct differences. If they are asymptomatic, it's the Z21. If they've had symptoms, when they say symptomatic, it's the B20. Those are the two things you need to write down, put in your book somewhere. I would put both of those codes at the B20 so that you can go to B20 and you can see asymptomatic Z21 written in next to your B20. Let me let my cat out. Hey, come back, Ty. Yeah, there you go, girl. Okay. All right. Write them in at B20. Okay. So, this is a really good OB one. So first thing we got to do is find out our differences between the 7-0 and the 801. And the difference is this is just a single live birth vaginally, and the other difference is C-section. And I'm having to rapid fire these because I got to get off here and go feed the cats and put the kids to bed, so sorry. So we're going to look at our question real quick and see what we're doing. And we do find out something, right? There it is, cesarean, right there. So I know I'm going to keep my 2 cesareans. So I'm going to get rid of my vaginal deliveries because they did have a C-section. And so these codes are the same. Those codes are the same. Those codes are the same. The only difference is these 2 codes. And that's a whole lot easier to look up than all this other mess. And AAPC wants to know if you know the difference. And those are both in our throwaways, so we can't use those as a clue. But they want to know if you know the difference between these 2 diagnoses because they're super close. One of them means that the baby started decelling and not having enough oxygen before labor started. The other diagnosis means they had decels during labor once labor started. The difference is the reason why for the C-section. So this one was after contractions started, the kid started decelling, and that's why we needed to make the difference. Yep, and our answer is C because of that. This one, the 8, is because it happens before labor even starts, and they just automatically do a C-section. This one's after labor starts, the baby starts decelling, and then they had to do a C-section because the kid couldn't tolerate the contractions. So I hope that's helpful. I wanted to do this lab one because it was on somebody's CPC exam, and plus y'all asked for lab 2. I didn't get to medication, neuro, or anesthesia, and not enough cardiology either, but I will try my best. I will get those all on Friday's live, for these lovely codes. These are the ones you cannot do the process of elimination on. These are the one lab set of codes that you've got to do a word search once you figure out what part of the body not only did they remove, but you need to find out what part of that removal did they want you to test to see what it is. Because sometimes, yeah, they removed a leg, but they don't want you to look at the leg. They wanted you to look at the artery inside the leg. So those kind of things. So if we go to 88.3, these are the 111 set of codes you just can't do the process of elimination on at all. These are all huge codes where you get to do this lovely word search once you figure out in the question what body part they want you to biopsy. There's all these levels of things where sometimes you just look at the body part that they gave you and give a visual interpretation. Some of them you use a microscope, and then some of them you have to do a pathology on. And they go on and they get deeper and more engrossed. But you just have to search all this mess to find something that matches what they removed. And you might end up with one of these questions because they are more difficult. So what they removed was part of the duodenum, and it's part of a resection, and they're looking for cancer. Okay? So, oops, there goes the mouse. We're going to look for literally the word duodenum or something that we know out of all these levels that is going to be duodenum, which is that in your small intestines or large intestines? Where would that be? What if they have it labeled something different and not, or like colon? Or small intestines? You got to know where certain things are, even though you might have the proper name, but you need to know where the duodenum is. Yep, small intestines. So we finally get probably to some small intestines right here at level 05. So nothing before 05 was there. This is small intestines, but also so is level, well, this level 5, but this is level 4, but the number is 05. This is level 5, this is 07, and it has a small intestines too, but it does say resection next to it, other than for a tumor. Uh-oh. Well, we know our OMA is definitely a tumor. And it was a resection. Let's keep looking. This is level 6 under the 09. And we do get small intestines, resection for a tumor. Finally, we got it at the 09. So, I dropped my mouse. Let me pick that up real quick. That, unfortunately, is how you have to do that question. I don't have any fancy tricks other than letting you know that you can't do process of elimination. You're just going to have to go find out exactly from the exam question, which I'm trying to bring back up, and go figure out and do a word search based off what they removed. So we ended up picking B because of this one. You just have to be careful, and plus you need to know your body parts. If you don't know already what the duodenum or where it's at, go on and write right now that small intestines includes Duodenum, you can write it beside the O7, the O9. Was there small intestines in the O5? Yeah. Yep. Most resections, anything that says resection is going to be in O7 or O9. The O7 is non-cancerous. The O9 is cancerous. O7 is where all your craniotomies are. You'll have some of those questions where there's craniotomies in the CPC exam question, and the answer will be the O7. But this is a good example of one crazy question you might get, but don't fret over lab and path too much. I can get your scores up really high in all the other sections like E&M, your integumentary, your musculoskeletal, your cardiology, believe it or not, neuro, your eyes, all those other sections. We can get those up really high so that you don't have to worry so much about lab and path. And if you make a 50% in lab and path, I think you've done great and passed it, because this section is very difficult. But it helps to see the questions and know how they're answered, so that if you do run into them, you'll be better prepared for it than being hit with it during the middle of your exam and never seeing it before. So I like to share them just in case. That one's a B. All right, here's our craniotomy. I was just talking about it. Looks like during a craniotomy, look at this one. What's going on with this one? They asked for frozen tissues to be sampled and looked at. So I told y'all already, where was craniotomy at? What number did I say? Was it 03, 05, 04, or 07? So what do you think the answer is? Without having to work too hard, if you do listen to me and remember what you said, you'll get your answers right for sure. So just put craniotomy right there, so you can get the answer right every time. You can just do a number search for the 07 for craniotomy and move on. Yep, there you go. Without having to teach you a whole lot of heck stuff about all these codes, that's just, craniotomy is going to be your 07. You could even go to work in neuro and they're going to ask you, what's the code for biopsying a craniotomy? You're going to know 07. You can know that one. Memorize that one. All right. Well, I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to go feed the cats, put the kids to bed, and I'll come back and we're going to work on some more urology. If you need the notes in Etsy, you can use the coupon code 30 and then the word percent, right? Percent, and then the word gen at the end, and put that in checkout, and that takes 30% off. And with the store being 10% off, that should make everything 40% off. So percent, however I spell it, percent. I can't write with this mouse, but you know what I mean. 30% gen. And that takes everything off. Also, if you need tutoring, you can do that at Medical Coding by Jen. And we can go over and do a bunch of questions just like this. I'll teach you more processes and things that'll help you out for sure. I will be live again on Friday night at 6:30 p.m. to do practice questions again. But I will be live again tonight to finish up this this urology section. I've already got it prepped with our blue marks. Look at all those modifier notifications they're telling us on all these codes. Love it when they tell us when to use a modifier. Then I've already got all the yellows done. And then I've got my do nots marked and the 4s. I just got to put our one-word differences on the codes and then get that onto our Excel sheet too, with Jen's magic word in between the code and the magic, and then we'll have urology done. But I'll be back for that. Yes, I can do cardiology. I won't forget. I've still got it on my list. I'll do cardiology, some neuro, and anesthesia. And I always do E&M, no matter what. We got to do E&M. But I got to do some auditing ones for risk and for medical auditor 2 in there. But yep, we will definitely get those done on Friday for sure. The main thing with, thanks Twinkle, the main thing with cardiology is know where you're at. Are you in an artery? Atrial? Are you ventricular? Are you in a vein? Or are you in both? That's more than half of your battle in picking out those CPT codes. And also with a pump, without a pump, tunneled, non-tunneled, and if you have an Instaport, is that our word? Instaport? Yep. There's one code for an Instaport, and you should know it just like you know your chemotherapy code. And there's only one code. If they ever say Instaport in your CPC exam question, you know we have it marked. That's it. The answer's right there, and you move on to your next question. But that's so funny to be called a class. I don't know. I'm not really used to that yet. But I guess that is what I'm doing. I'm just trying to help and share some information so that y'all can pass that exam for sure. And better your lives, which will better your community, which will better all of us for sure. It's okay, Taco. Oh, the Etsy code? Let me type it out instead of trying to draw it out because that's pretty pitiful. Here we go. 30% Jen. That's it. That's the code. And I hope to see everybody on Discord, please. I mean, you've got some information in that Discord chat room that is just crazy insane. I wish I would have had this much information during mine. We've got our main chat room, and then we've got all my little information rooms where you can practice questions. There's already questions in there. What the day of the exam should look like, your E&M resources, CPT resources, diagnosis, just so much information. You can practice questions in risk and in auditing. You've got your terminology, your anatomy, all kinds of rooms. And look, you can look and see who we've helped too. You can look at all these lovely scores for some inspiration. I have a 93. Oh, I think I have one to add today. Look at that 90. I think I had one to add. Actually, who have I got to add? Did somebody get a 99? Yes. On January, who is this? 18. Can you believe that mess? A 99? What the heck? So anyway, y'all can gain some inspiration from everybody I've helped. There's a 93. Yep. Just anything. 70. Let's go on. Yep. Helped a lot of people. So love it, love it, love it. I love to share all that stuff. So, yep, we've got tons of room for tons of practice questions and stuff everywhere. So I hope to see everybody there. Yeah, it's something to figure out, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So, and if y'all need that coupon code, there we go. I don't know. My dang camera. There we go. All right, guys. I will see y'all in a few minutes. I'm going to go feed those kitties. I hope this has been helpful. I'll see y'all later.